Hey clock watchers and pace perfectionists, it's Ed Timepiece Bud here. You may remember me from shows such as Running Shoe Yay or Nay or Nova Blast 2 Initial Review. Today I'm back with a long-term update for you on the COROS APEX Sports Tracker. Hey cats, thanks for tuning in to the channel, it's much appreciated as always. If you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications of when we roll them out for you. And it always helps the channel out if you give this video a thumbs up like if you're enjoying it. A while back, COROS sent me the fantastic APEX Sports Tracker to review and interrogate. But they won't be vetting my review today or any of this content before you, my valued viewers, get to check it out. I keep getting asked why I've got two watches on. People keep asking me on a daily basis, and I tell them kilometers, miles. It's been a good comparison as well to test the Apex up against my Forerunner 245. Great easy conversions as well, and takes a little bit of strain off the old noggin. I've been pretty much using both watches for the last 6 months on a daily basis. You guys know I've been doing some long run streaks, so I have put it through its paces. And it has survived being mauled by my young son as well. He particularly likes the Apex. I do find that the COROS watch does grab the GPS signal that little bit faster than the Garmin. Sometimes I'm stood there waiting in anticipation for the Garmin to grab the GPS, and the Apex has got there ages before. And I have to say that the battery life is significantly better on the COROS watch. There's certainly more days in between charges than the Garmin 245. I've been using the watch for a good hour at least of activity per day, sometimes up towards 2 hours. And yes, the display isn't as colourful or bright as on the Forerunner 245, but then again, I'm not staring at the watch 24/7. I do have a smartphone that I can use for all that other type of stuff. I pretty much use these just for activity tracking. As long as I can see the info on the watch, I'm good to go, and I haven't ever had a problem thus far. You can see all the important stats that you need to on a run, especially if you're doing some sort of more technical based intervals. All the info's there. I never have to mess around too much to try and find out what I need. It's always pretty visible. They adjust the screens appropriately, so when you're not using it for sports tracking, it's a much darker screen. When you're using it for that purpose, there's normally a white background and you can pick out all the information very easily. Now, there has been a recent firmware update that has made the watch even better, in my opinion. I think I'm on version 2.53.0 now, and that firmware update was very easy to apply to the watch. That has brought the Evo Lab platform to this watch, and I think a lot of other COROS models as well, and I'd say it's elevated it to level or perhaps even higher than that's on my Garmin 245. We got loads of new features and metrics to look at, and you can get those from the watch itself now. You don't have to dig into the app on your phone. There's lots of additional information on the phone as well, so it's a gold mine of data. I mean, that might sound like total overkill to you, but for me, it's a wonderland. Daily, weekly and long-term training load is now accessible from both devices, along with the level of fatigue and suggested recovery time needed before harder training should be undertaken. So that can be really useful to keep your energy levels appropriate and help to advise you when you shouldn't go out for that easy 3-mile effort in the afternoon where you've done some very hard interval training in the morning. Like today, for example. After each run, the watch offers up a running performance metric as to how you perform during that exercise session. Alongside that, you're offered some race predictions as well across the common distances. You got 5k, 10k, half marathon and the marathon. And also, you can see the pace required for those predictions. To me, these seem a little bit overconfident in terms of my abilities. For example, my recent 19-minute 36 time trial on the 5k, that's a good 1 minute 20 out from the COROS prediction for me on a 5k. The predicted 10k time that I have on the COROS is also a little bit out, about 3 minutes faster in fact than I managed on that recent 10k race. Mind you, that was in some punishing warm conditions, very humid as well. Always seems to be like that at that race. That was also the day after a very important England football match. Maybe I was feeling a little bit lethargic due to that extra energy exerted watching the game. So 7-day totals of training load are now easily accessible from the watch itself, and I really like the full week distribution chart as well, as it makes it really easy to get the right balance between the bulk easier miles or aerobic efforts and the faster and harder sweat starting sessions. The COROS application on the mobile phone itself that partners with the watch is full of data and metrics for which the user can dip into for a quick swim or a much deeper dive if required. Records across various distances are stored along with a marathon level metric, which again views me in the belt of being an atomic superman, capable of a sub 3-hour marathon, maybe one day. Though I am glad to see my predicted VO2 max increasing here, along with the app's calculated threshold pace as well, so that's going up, which is a good thing to see. I'm certainly getting fitter from my recent exploits on the 5k time trial, and those 400 meter repeats as well. I think those threshold pace runs have been really helping out to boost that overall fitness too, and I think the COROS system itself is picking up on all of those things. The calculated threshold heart rate and pace appear on point and close to what I've experienced on recent harder sessions, so I think the watch seems to be firing out some accurate assessments of my current fitness level whilst being stuck to my wrist. I have to mention at this point that I've been using the Polar OH1 Plus to get my heart rate readings, and that is the same for both watches that I've been using, the Garmin 245 and the COROS APEX. My wrists are just really bony and I never seem to be able to get any reasonable heart rate readings from any wrist-based sensors that I've used. So it's nothing to do with the COROS watch, it's just me and my strange physique. I tend to have the Polar on the forearm just here, and that seems to give me some really accurate readings. And it works well with both watches as well, at the same time. So no hitches at all, I've had some really consistent readings from that sensor. So just something to bear in mind if you have very bony wrists like the EDDBUD. I think I've had the same issue with about 4 different watches, none of them seem to work that well if they use wrist-based heart rate sensing. In terms of hardware controls, I have to say I really prefer the Apex over the Forerunner 245. I love that metal dial, and the simplified design does take out some of the guesswork as to what the controls do, and it makes the watch operation a little bit more intuitive and simple. It's very easy to set up a quick session of interval repeats as well. If you want to, you can do that on the fly, and I've experienced no issues whatsoever in terms of the watch crashing or freezing up. No problem syncing it up with the COROS app, it works flawlessly every single time. Taking all that into account, along with the very fast charging of the watch as well, what I tend to do is stick it on charge while I'm having a shower after a run, and it seems to charge up very quickly. By the time I've managed to pick which t-shirt to wear and which pair of sneakers to put on, it's charged. Along with the recent software update, I think it gives the COROS a bit of an edge over the Garmin watches right now. That software update's really raised the performance and the value of all of COROS's watches. I think if you're looking for a slightly cheaper alternative, the Pace 2 is worth looking at. Pretty much exactly the same operation, just a slightly cheaper build. It does all the same things as far as I can see. I do look forward with a keen eye for future functions and advanced operations that COROS might deliver on some of their devices in the coming months. So certainly one for me to recommend, the COROS APEX. What timepiece do you use to track your sports activities, guys? Let me know in the comments below. A quick musical interlude for you. Courtney Barnett's album from 2015 has been on my stereo recently. It's called Sometimes I Just Sit and Think, and Sometimes I Just Sit. A really great and very mixed album, this one. Lots of different types of songs here. There are some real favourites here for me though. Elevator Operator is one of those, and I really like Deprestin as well. Aqua Profonda is also another favourite of mine. Always really interesting lyrics here from Courtney Barnett. Some off-kilter guitar as well. Some really nice tones. The guitar tones and the bass always work really well together, and there's a little smattering of organ here and there just to fill in the gaps, like sonic cement. Certainly one to check out if you're into her music. Back from 2015, Courtney Barnett's album, Sometimes I Just Sit and Think, and Sometimes I Just Sit. Thanks for joining me through to the very end of the video, guys. It's much appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications when I launch the new videos for you. And it really helps the channel out too if you give this video a thumbs up like and also share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you